Hello. Welcome to today's. I've said that like 3 times already, but we are so glad that you are here today. My name is Timothy Cross. I am the ShareFaith Media Director, one of the brands here at Ministry Brands, and I have again today, David. They haven't kicked us out yet.
Not yet. Despite our best efforts, Tim, we are still here
every single day.
I want to welcome everyone to Casual Friday, the Casual Friday edition of Easter Online, or as I like to call it, every day of quarantine. You know what I'm saying, Tim?
That's right. You know, speaking of that brings up a great question. Way to just line that up for me, David.
Do what I can.
Do it again.
I say I do what I can. I can.
Okay. All right. I was like, do it again. All right. Yeah. Let's do it again.
I said, do it again, Tim.
Question for everybody. What grade would you give your current planning/preparedness for Easter Online? A would be, you could take over the webinar right now from me and Dave. Like, you don't need any more help. You could kick us off. You could run all of this and probably, honestly, better than what we could do. Right, David?
Yeah, and an F would be something like, I don't want to talk about it.
What's wrong, David?
I said I don't want to talk about it, Tim.
David, you can talk to me.
Like that kind of, don't even bring this up. So A to F, go ahead and rank where you're feeling in terms of your preparedness for Easter service. If you're not sure, you can use the plus and minus system. There's a whole spectrum here.
Yeah, we got you. All right. You want to go and tell them a little bit about Ministry Brands if you don't know who we are and what we do as a company?
Yeah, so Ministry Brands is a family of software companies, and we're dedicated to empowering churches, ministries, and faith-based organizations in a digital world. And what that means, I guess, practically is one, our products and our people and our teams integrate together really well. So the solutions come together, the support teams come together, and that just makes a better experience for churches, ministries, nonprofits. But more importantly, I think behind each one of these services and products, there are a team of technology and ministry leaders that are passionate about the church, which ultimately means they and we view our success as your success.
It's good. Thank you so much for sharing that. We love what we do here at Ministry Brands, and we are passionate about helping the church succeed, especially around this avenue of technology. That's why we're doing these daily webinars. Our first webinar was Tuesday, and we are going to go all the way through until Good Friday, each day delivering great content for you, designed to help you get your church ready for Easter and beyond, because it looks like, this season that we're in as a church is going to go a little bit beyond just the Easter weekend. So we're creating resources. We're coming together as a company to really help solve that question for you and for so many churches out there. How do we do church online? So David, you want to tell them what webinars we have coming up?
Yeah, first, I want to do a quick recap on yesterday because it was an amazing webinar. We had Pastor Dave on is the senior pastor at Claremore Assembly. And for me, that interview, it wasn't just about someone learning technology and integrating it into their church. There was so much wisdom and heart and just pastoral leadership and guidance in that. And so I would strongly, if you didn't catch yesterday's webinar, check that out. We also had Casey Frazier on, our giving expert, and she walked us through how to get that set up, the differences between online giving, text giving in the M1 app. And there was a Q&A section at the end that was just amazing. I thought it really addressed and answered a lot of common questions. So our moderators will drop links for you in the chat where you can find that webinar if you missed it. Just some great, like you said, Tim, some really great content.
Yeah, and speaking of great content, way to set it up again
Woo,
for me, David.
Come on, you're a pro. You're a pro.
Today's conversation, we actually have quite a few guests that we're bringing on. We have Jonathan Dethridge. He's a communications director and web strategist. He's going to bring a phenomenal conversation. And then on top of that, we have Matt Smith. He's an online pastor, and they're going to have a little bit of a conversation to just kind of share, what they're doing, the strategy that they're doing. It's going to be a great conversation, but we're not stopping there.
Why
David.
would we? Why
No,
would
I mean,
we, Tim?
We're just going to keep this going all day
don't even
long.
insult me by insinuating that we would stop there.
Then we have Rodney Ross. He is the general manager for our church management software solutions. So church management and kind of how do you approach that? He's the man. He's the guru. You could almost say he's the Jedi Master. You almost could say it. I think he would put Yoda to shame. I'm just saying. Anyways, upcoming webinar. So that's what we're doing today. We've recapped what we've done. David, tell the people where we're going.
Wow. All right. So Monday, really great webinar coming up. I know I'm excited for it. We're going to be talking kids ministry online, not just for Easter, but beyond. And going to be a great conversation, show you some of the free resources that are available to you, some principles and perspectives that you can integrate in, and really looking at like, how can we make the most out of our kids ministry online? Tuesday, we're going to have a conversation about mass communication, looking at things like text, email, voicemail, social media. And I also want to highlight, we're going to have a separate webinar coming up on that Tuesday for e-giving for parishes. There will be a separate sign up for that. And we'll have that in the comment section as well. And that will be at 3 p.m. And it'll be led by our good friends at Parish Soft. And then on Thursday, we are going to share some final thoughts before we head into the Easter season, looking to bring on a pastor to give us some great perspective on both what he's doing in his church as he heads into Easter and some of the things that we should be mindful of as well. So just a packed next week and something that I'm really looking forward to.
That next Thursday too is going to be really exciting. The pastor we're bringing on, from what we've understood, and he's going to talk more about it, but he's restructured his church for the time being, like the leaders in the church, to facilitate operating as an online church. So, I mean, that's a fascinating kind of, like, they took that step. So it's going to be a good conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll definitely be an encouraging step. Like I said earlier, our webinar series all the way up to Easter is designed to get you ready for Easter, but then take you beyond. A lot of our stuff, every webinar, all the guests that we're bringing on, all of it is designed around getting your church ready to facilitate online church. And here's the deal. When things kind of go back to normal, you're not going to stop doing church online. In fact, I guarantee you, if you can do this right, this could be an even bigger opportunity than just bringing people in at the church. Like, you could do it online and still create that engagement and all these strategies that you put together. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah, fantastic. So last thing before we bring in some of our guests, we want to, as we do every webinar, highlight some resources that are available to you. First, if you go to info.ministrybrands.com/ministry online, we have assembled, would you say a smorgasbord of resources, Tim?
I would say it's a board.
Okay, that's what Tim would say. I would add the smorgas to the beginning. Anyway,
I don't know if I can say the word. That's why I didn't say it.
Tons of resources, all of them available. Some great offers, free giving, free mass communication. You can go to the page and check out those for yourself. And then along the way, there's always so much information talked about in these conversations. And if you have a specific question about a service or a product, please email us at careteam@ministrybrands.com. And we've been diligent in reading those emails, responding to them, and making sure you have everything that you need.
Yep, we got you. That's what we're trying to say. We got your back in this crazy time. Ministry Brands is here for you. So, without further ado, let's introduce one of the many panelists that we have today for today's webinar. We're going to say Jonathan Deathridge, but another way you could say his last name, David?
Deathrage.
There you go.
That's, I think, that's his wrestling alter ego, but I'll let him get into that.
That's right. That's a background I really can't talk about.
You can't talk about it. Can't talk about it.
The first rule of Deathrage is you don't talk about death.
No.
And he's bringing in Pastor Matt. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. We are going to hand it off. Me and David are going to sign off, but we'll be back to kind of recap and welcome in our next guest a little bit later. So, Jonathan, don't let us down.
Take it away.
Ooh, wow. The pressure's on, man. All right. Well, Tim, David, thank you so much. So, hey, guys, just so you know, I am Jonathan Dethridge, as Tim was saying. I'm the web strategist here at Ministry Brands. I have the privilege of working with churches and nonprofits, and I've been able to help, employ best practices with their communication online platforms. Before coming to Ministry Brands, I worked at a church in the Dallas area called Bent Tree Bible Fellowship with my good buddy Matt Smith, who's here today.
Hey, everybody.
And Matt and I both share a passion for seeing ministry happen online. Bent Tree is a multi-site church, and they've been streaming their service since 2010. And Matt has been serving as Bent Tree's online pastor for almost 4 years, supporting the needs of the community and shepherding them well. And like I said, Matt and I share that passion for seeing how we can have the church thrive in that online space. So Matt, as we get started here, just could you tell us a little bit about why you're passionate about online ministry?
Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate getting to be with everybody and share about online, because it's a critical space. It's a real space that it allows the church to meet people where they are. So what we've experienced is it's an opportunity for God to continue to express who he is through the body and reach people wherever they are. So it's been an incredible journey for me to get to experience. I wasn't necessarily all about online ministry before this, but being in it has completely changed my approach and view of even how we see people who join online on a regular basis before, the current season that we're in, but even in the middle of all of this.
So tell us a little bit about kind of why Bent Tree. They've been streaming for 6 years, and then 4 years ago they say, hey, we need a role that really speaks to this particular community. What were some of those things? Kind of give us, as Tim was indicating, after this whole shelter in place COVID craziness is lifted, a lot of churches are going to have a live stream on that they didn't have on before. So give us a little insight, what's unique about the needs of an online platform and online community?
Well, thankfully our senior leadership recognized that it was really a stewardship issue when we were putting content out there, when we were putting our services out there. There was no follow-up with anybody. We had no way of knowing who was joining, what God was doing through it. And so early on, it was after 6 years of doing it, but when we started hearing from people that were wondering, who do they talk to, who can pray for them, who's available to walk with them, we recognized that it needed to be a unique role for our context, because we had multiple campuses and we were getting connected with people all over the world. And so it was a unique opportunity. Obviously, it was something that was unknown for the church, really, because all we were doing was putting services online. But it was out of a desire to see God was doing something in people's lives, and we wanted to be able to walk with them, to disciple, to encourage, and equip. Basically what the church does in a physical space, in a digital space. And so I was asked to step into this role, and I'm really thankful for it, because it has allowed me the privilege to connect with people that are trying to figure out if our church is a place where they would feel comfortable. So this is really the front door for them. People who are checking out and they're about ready to give up on God and the church, and this is their last ditch they'll check it out online. And also just people who are hearing the message of God's love and grace and his life that he desires for them, and they're wanting to live out that in their community wherever they are.
So tell us a little bit, for the folks who are our church leaders and our pastors here today, what do you think are some of those unique ways to care for people in an online space? The game's a little bit different right now. We can't just kind of see somebody in the foyer on a Sunday morning. Right. Help us kind of bridge that gap a little bit.
It's obviously different now because everybody's online, but to recognize so many of the people that we connect with through the digital space in an online ministry, the filter that they hear things is shame already. And so when we've had to adjust how we communicate. If we're only saying online is just for those who can't physically come to a campus, then those who can, but this is where they are in their season of life and they're taking a step of faith to join in online, will just hear that they're doing it wrong. And so we've really had to adjust how we communicate to make sure that we're encouraging people that they are taking a step of faith because they got on this morning or, whenever, and joined the service that way. To recognize that God's at work in their life. And just because they're not doing it the way that maybe we have always thought they should or want them to, this is a beautiful way for them to connect with God and with other believers. And so we're really intentional about that. It's interesting, one of the first people I heard from as an online pastor was an older couple that haven't been able to worship together because of physical health limitations. And so because of the online component, they're now worshiping together in their living room, and they're able to connect with their life group. And it's been an incredible thing for them. And I was surprised just because it was an older demographic and they were early adopters. There's also a lady in Indiana that was the very first person to email me. We email every week. We talk on the phone. We used to have a campus in Wisconsin, and I went up there to preach one Sunday, and it was a Sunday that she arranged for her to be visiting her son and daughter who were in the area. And so I got to meet their whole family. And now I have this connection with them, and it's been just it's been a joy to get to connect like that.
That's awesome. And I know when you and I were talking earlier, there was this conversation about how when folks are kind of coming to church, they might be wearing their church mask, like, okay, I'm dressed my best, I'm ready to see people. But when you're in an online situation, you're in your living room, you're in your bedroom, wherever you might be watching, you're in a different emotional space. How does that shift what's happening from the pastoral side of things and what you're putting out?
I want to be very careful in recognizing that everybody's in a totally different place. They're not in a public place, most likely, though we do have people that join in from a coffee shop or wherever they are. But some people have really healthy home life, some people don't, and so I really want to be intentional in encouraging people to be able to express themselves how they're comfortable as they're engaging. So at every point where I think there's an opportunity for the enemy to place shame and condemnation and guilt on people, I know that that's not the Holy Spirit. So I want him to be able to invade those thoughts that people may be having. And so to just encourage, if you want to stand or sit or kneel or lay, if you need to go for a walk and just listen to the service, if it really is for you to be able to connect with God through what he's doing in our context and in your space. So our desire is that we're meeting people where they are. And it's a way for the church to really be proactive in saying, we're not expecting you to always come and give to us. We're not expecting you to meet us on our grounds, but we really want to come and meet you where you are.
I love that. And I know that for you specifically, I've watched you over the years kind of have this awareness of this growing awareness of where folks are coming from and trying to just be very considerate in how you plan what you say on the camera, showing empathy and keeping those things in mind that you just shared and kind of how it shapes what you present and what you communicate. So I really appreciate that about you. And I think it's really appropriate for this online setting.
I used to think taking a step of faith was this, it looked a certain way. And I started to, a couple years ago, shift and realize the fact that they're joining us tells me God's doing something in their life. And let's encourage that. And if we can meet them there, then maybe they'll invite us in to see what all is going on in their life, and that God might want to use this relationship in some way to take this step of faith where they just joined us and continue them on in their journey, just like he does with all of us, where he kindly walks with us where we are.
You also shared with me earlier that kind of the online presence is both the church's front door and the church's back door. Can you tell our folks a little bit about that?
Yeah, so even before shelter in place and all that, the reality is the majority of our people are online. They're in a digital space, and they're now looking at your website, your Facebook presence, they're Googling you, they're finding out about you before they come on. So the lobby or the parking lot isn't their first exposure. Most people who are checking out churches are doing research, and so it is a front door. It's the place where you first greet people, and it's also the place where we've experienced people who maybe they've been hurt by our church, or they've been hurt by churches in general, and they don't necessarily want to give up on their faith and give up on the church, but they're not sure they can trust a place. We've experienced a lot of people that are saying, we're trying it out. We're not ready to give up, but we're close. And so it kind of helps with that back door. We've, typically speaking, not during shelter in place, obviously, in a regular context, we will see people who will stop coming to a campus for about 6 months. And then they'll come back to campus. But in those 6 months, instead of leaving or going somewhere else or just stopping altogether, they will be online. And it's a way for us to minister to them and connect with them.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience. So I've got 4 kids, and the younger 2 are 2 years old and 5 months old. And man, this has been a season. We live 25 minutes away from Bentry, and so for us, the online ministry, even before the whole shelter in place thing happened, we were taking respite. And the fact that, okay, it's hard to get everybody ready and out the door and present. So some mornings it's nice to just sit down, sit back, and watch it in our living room, and let the 2-year-old do whatever she needs to do to get through the morning.
Yeah, Jonathan, to your point, we have in the Dallas area, we just have a lot of people that in their professional life, they travel a lot. And what we also recognize is we did a series, it stood out the most for this series. It was on Hebrews, and it was almost a full year of a series, very in depth. And we were able to hear from our regular people on a campus that were traveling a lot, that it was a beautiful way for them to stay connected even when they were traveling on a weekend to be at their next location for work. And I would get pictures of people in their hotel rooms or in their conference centers or wherever they were, that they were connecting and staying not just connected with the church services, but also with their life groups and ways that we were connecting online. So it's really a way for the church to meet people where they are in a very mobile and chaotic scheduling world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, real quick, we have just another couple minutes. Any nuggets you can share with us about kind of your approach for Easter this year? Right. Obviously, it's online only now, but what are some things that you're seeing that could be helpful?
So on our website, we've developed basically it's an update page where in this season specifically, if you want to find out anything that's changing or new or that you really want to know, whether you're regularly online or you're online just for this season, you go and everything's there. So we have one place where then we'll take you everywhere else. We've employed our prayer team that normally is praying on campus. They're available for people to send in prayer requests. We have a button for people to write out a prayer request. And the way that we communicate that is if you're normally on campus and you would come forward asking for prayer, or you would go into our prayer room, see it that way, where you're just submitting your prayer request for somebody to pray for you. And then our prayer team will type out the prayer as if they were praying face to face and then send it back to them. And it comes to the pastors as well. So we're able to know what's going on. But that's one way. We've got our family ministries that have developed videos. That's a worship service for our kids. So one of the dynamics we've been hearing is that it's for families. It's really tough because we say the service, it's really a family service, but there's not a whole lot to keep a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old really engaged. Right. And so we started kind of introducing throughout the service, hey, let's worship together. And when it comes time for the teaching, we have a 30-minute message that's specifically for kids that our family team has put together. It's really a worship service for them. So if they could get on another device, maybe that would allow the parents to also engage while the kids are It's also something that they could, if their kids are focusing in and they want to be all together, they could do that. And then after the service, have that. For Easter, we're showing slides of people who are already using these resources to show what it could look like in a family. We're pre-recording a communion component. One of our pastors is actually doing a communion with his family, and will be leading us through that in the service. So
Love that.
that will be for this Sunday, actually, not for Easter, but just looking at ways that we could meet people in the spaces where they are. And also, we're not filming, we're not doing our service for the room like we usually do. We're doing it for people in their rooms and wherever they're coming from. So it takes thinking through things differently. We've got an opportunity for our community pastors to connect with people through FaceTime or Zoom. So they've got hours set aside for that.
Excellent. Matt, thank you so much for your time this morning.
I
So many
appreciate
good ideas for us, good thoughts for us to take away as we kind of think through what's next after the shelter in place is lifted. So Matt Smith, online pastor at Bentry Bible Fellowship in the Dallas area. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
See you,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to keep going from my end here, and we're going to kind of transition. And Tim, if you would go ahead and put up my slides here. So folks, we're going to kind of take a shift. We're going to talk more about some website best practices in this season. So as Matt was alluding to, this is a season where we're shifting from your kind of regular run-of-the-mill stuff where you might have a live stream page already, you might have a website already, but things are just totally different right now. So let's talk through some of those best practices, principles, some really nuts and bolts things for you as you go into the season. So first of all, let's talk about what is a website. I know it seems a little elementary, rudimentary at this season, but of course, as Matt was saying, our websites usually are front door, right? It's usually the first thing that people see when they hear about our church. They're going to shop us online. Now, it's your entire church, isn't it? It's your kids' ministry. It's your foyer. It's your worship center. It's everything. And it's all kind of crammed in this one space. So it really requires an extra level of intentionality with the content that we put on our website. So the next question we're going to ask is, what is a good homepage right now? So I would recommend you guys do 3 things with your homepage. First of all, consider streamlining what you've got there. I've seen a lot of churches in the last couple of weeks really trim down so that it's not too busy. So it really focuses in on, hey, here's where you can check us out with our live stream when we're live. Here's where you can give, and here are ways that you can stay connected to the ministry throughout the week. So it's not just, hey, Sunday morning and then forget about us. A lot of churches, and hopefully your church, is thinking through ways that we can keep people connected through the week, whether it's a devotional, small group Zoom meetings, or Google Hangouts, or whatever you do, podcast, whatever. Think through those things and put that on your homepage so people can feel like they're still a part of your community. And of course, that third one, giving. You guys, I know you need it. Let's make sure you have that giving on your homepage, really easy to find. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples here. I want to show off some of our folks here who are doing a really good job. So Tim, if you could switch us over to First Christian Church, Johnson City. So love this website, and they do a great job. Tim, go ahead and just scroll down what we have here. So they've got something for Easter. They've got a watch online section. Keep scrolling. This is that 1, 2, 3 button of their priorities for their church that's usually on there in a normal time. They've left it there so folks who are visiting can kind of still get a sense of what they're about. Same thing with their ministries, kids, students, and college age. So that's a really good snapshot, featured events that just shows, hey, here's online priority, but we're still doing church. Let's jump over to Park Cities Baptist Church. Now, this is fun because we've been talking with them over the last couple of weeks, and just how can they jump to get this ready. So go ahead and start scrolling, Tim. So they've got a welcome video from their pastor that just talks about this unique season. A little further down on the page, ways to connect, thinking through what's our digital footprint and how are folks going to stay connected with us in this season. A little further down on the page, age-specific resources. So again, they're thinking through their demographics. church-wide calendar. So they've got something each day out of the week. How can people stay connected? These are just good ideas for you guys to be percolating on as you're thinking through what kinds of things you could put on your homepage. A little further down, serving. You know, I love the simplicity of this. Do you need help? Do you want to offer help? Because in this season, volunteering is a little different, right? So they've got some simple ways to plug in. And then some articles, and all the way to the bottom there, ways to give, right? Real simple. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go back to the slides here. So the next question you should be asking, okay, a lot of you guys are with us and we've been talking about Livestream a lot this past week. So the question that you might be asking yourself is, what does a good Livestream page look like, right? So I'm gonna say two things about your Livestream page, and this is not just for this season, but this is for always. Livestream should always be active. Just think of it. So you don't want a page on your website that's only active for half a day, and 6.5 days, it's dead, right? So think through content that leads people when they get there on Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon, leads them to other steps of getting involved in the life of your church. So for example, we're gonna talk about having content that is a welcome section, or it has buttons for prayer like Matt was talking about just earlier. Online visitor form. Because here's what you're going to need to be thinking about too, is that in this online space, you don't have the luxury of someone coming to the pew, sitting down and grabbing that print off visitor form, right? And dropping it in the plate. So if you don't have a visitor form already, you need to make sure that you're setting up an online form, and hopefully, preferably, it connects to your online database so that your pastor can pick it up online, right, remotely, and then make a phone call, send an email. So be thinking through, okay, we're back to that Livestream page. We want a visitor button. We want a place for folks to give, right? So that these are ways that folks, when they come on an off day, they're still connected. Do you have a prayer page like Matt was talking about? You know, if you're with us at Ecclesia 360, we do have a prayer layout that we'd love to get you connected with, but there are also ways you can have a prayer form you can put on that page. So that's what a good Livestream page would look like. And Tim, do we have the ability to show those examples here? Okay, here we go. So two folks who are doing a really great job. Our friends at Cross City Church, they're out in Euless, Texas. So again, they've got a good video there so that when the stream is off, that's actually a replay of the last service. But you can have rotators of images of your church during the week. You can have a preview video, a welcome video, and here's their sermon archive. Right, so really active page. Let's go to Eaglebrook, some of our friends out in Minnesota. So that is their service from this past Sunday. Let's scroll down a little further. Those buttons there give us something to act on, some calls to action. Kids ministry, give us a little sample of their church. Then I love the next section, invite someone to church. So again, they're thinking through that online presence and making sure that that live stream page is active during the week. So if I could summarize my 2 cents on a good live stream page, Tim, it's that last slide that we've got here for this live stream section. It is to make sure that your live stream page never becomes a dead end page. Live stream, not dead end. Had a little fun with the wording there. Okay, so let's move on from your live stream page to Easter, right? That is the big topic of conversation. And I'd like to just share with you guys, in addition to some of the things that Matt was sharing, let's just brainstorm of some ways in which you could do your Easter service online specifically this year. First thing, Easter landing page, it's a must. Hopefully you've got one already. If you don't, make it today because you want a place to lead people so that they're connecting to your website specifically. Next, make shareable social media invitations. So if your folks are on Facebook, consider doing a Facebook event and having it share with your friends. If you're doing a video or a graphic, make sure it's super shareable so that people in your church can pass that along to their friends as well. Next, 4 principles. Now, we've already talked about this before, but 4 principles of doing an online service in general. 1, personal over produced. They want to see you. They want to know your personality. 2, authentic over scripted. If you were with us a couple of days ago, we talked about Brandon Fraser doing a worship service for online Life Church. And there was a coughing situation and it was a little off script. And that's great. We want folks to see who we are. Next, discussion over lecture. So if you're preaching and you've got the opportunity to have a chat thrown out there, have folks discuss with you. That's great. Next one, flexible over rigid. This is a time for creativity. So be thinking creatively. All right, let's move on to ideas for your worship service. Facilitate. Remember, the big idea, you are creating space for home church to happen. This is unique. The church is scattered in one sense in their individual homes, but there's also gathering. I know for me, my family is gathered around that TV screen every Sunday morning. So how are you facilitating the church gathering in smaller ways? Okay, other thing, when you're doing a chat, be thinking about your moderators. Target them beforehand. Find people you can trust. Find people who can answer questions for you. Who's your greeter? Who's that person who's going to answer the hard questions? Prep them. Give them that online giving form. Give them that visitor form so that they're ready to pump it in at the right time during the service. Next, as you're moving to your opening section, again, it's that welcome, it's that visitor form. When you get to the worship section, the time, man, it's always awkward singing in your living room to your TV. Push through it. Tell folks, hey, we're all doing it together. Just turn up the volume and let's sing together. You can also think through ways in which you can have not only your words to the song up on screen, but maybe some scriptures, some prayers, some call and response opportunities for people to feel like they're really participating. They're not just watching another episode of their favorite show. Next, the greeting. So many good ideas here. Get creative. So you could say, hey, normally you're here. Why don't you, if you're in the room with a friend, give them a hug, give them a, Corona fist bump or elbow bump, whatever you need to do. Or if you're not with your friends, text them, say hi. Friends you normally sit with at church, say, hey, I'm thinking of you this morning and we're worshiping together. Or you could even say, if you're in the chat, just tell us hello. Something simple like that. Next, communion. As Matt was alluding to, you can have a video, but I always encourage you, if you've got a landing page or you've got a way to tell people ahead of time, hey, buy crackers and juice. We're going to do it together, and we want you to be able to do it with us at home. Get that ready for folks so they can be prepared. Next, giving. Have that link ready so you can pop that out. You can put it on the screen as the lower thirds, or have your moderators and your chat ready to send that link out. Remember, they're already on their computers or their devices. They can give online. They might even want to set up recurring giving in this time. So just be thinking through that option. Next, sermon. As I said earlier, if you're preaching and you normally preach 45-minute sermon or 50-minute sermon or even a 30 to 35-minute sermon, maybe think through different options here. You're on a different platform. They're talking to you like this. They see you on a screen. It's just like how you see me on a screen right now. It doesn't feel like I'm in an auditorium talking to a group of people. I'm one-on-one. So think through that. If you're the pastor or the preaching person, how can you engage your audience differently? How can you invite them into conversation? Next, dismissal. I always like to say, have a memorable bottom line. So as soon as they walk away, they're going to turn off their computer, lock their phone, turn off their TV. It's easier to forget about what just happened. So give folks a question to think about, to talk about, or a bottom line to remember for that week. Lastly, and this is the most important one, something's going to happen after Easter. Are you planning for it? After Easter, do you have a program or discipleship plan that you're going to bring people into? If you do, and I hope you do, tell them about it as you wrap up the service so that they can engage. Give them a link so they can do it right then and right there on their device. So the last thing I'm going to say about Easter, this is a ton of ideas I just threw at you, but make it your own. Try new things. Be creative. This is a time for the Church of Jesus Christ to rise up, to shine forth his light, to share the aroma of Christ. You guys, you can do it. This is a great time to be creative. So that's all I got. Tim, I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was super good. There's a lot of great nuggets that Matt had and that you had. And I know one thing that everyone's going to be asking is this going to be available for replay? It absolutely will be. I know that Jonathan sent a ton of information out at us, but everything that he shared will be available again on that replay. And then we'll also make those slides available to you as well. So
now, before we move on, I do want to do a quick loop back. Because
back.
Yeah, right. We had the how are you feeling prepared in your preparedness for Easter service? And I just want to give a shout out to Tammy from Amherst because she gave herself an F plus.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, she's acknowledging that there's
improving.
hope. Right. Anyway, why don't we introduce our next guest, Tim?
I like it. So our next guest, better known as Jedi Master Rodney Ross. That's all I got. He's the man. He's the man. If you need to know about getting ready with a mobile app, this is your guy. He's going to kind of feature and focus a little bit on that. But I mean, he's one of the most knowledgeable people in the church space. So I'm excited to have him on.
So without further ado, jump on in, Rodney.
Hey, I'm here audio, and if somebody can help me, it won't let me turn on my video, but wow.
We got you. Don't
Hey.
you worry.
Apparently, I am the master of many things except for that. So,
That's just a power play Tim likes to do. Invite guests on and then let no one see them. I've tried talking to him about it.
Yeah, there we go.
You should. Yeah, there we go. The
There
man
I
of
am.
the hour.
Yeah, right on. I am excited to be here. I appreciated, what we just heard. I don't know if it's happening for you all, but most of us, that are presenting in these things are also parts of churches who are trying to execute these things. And so just hearing the other presenters is really beneficial. So, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about apps.
100%. Well, I'm going to get out of your guys' way and jump out. And then Rodney, you take it from here.
Okay,
All right.
I will take it from here. So a lot of you are out there trying new things without question. We have new people jumping on for Livestream, and we have new people jumping into online giving where you may not have done it before. Something that without question is new for a lot of folks is trying to get an app going. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that would look like. Now, I am speaking very specifically about an app that is available for Ministry Brands customers. And so you may be a current customer, and we're going to talk about how you would get access if you don't happen to have it. Very first, though, some of you may be watching us today and you don't have a single Ministry Brands product. You don't do online giving or church streaming or whatever. So let's talk to you folks first. If you were to be interested in the Ministry One app, well, first of all, you might be curious, what in the world is the Ministry One app? And it is an app that you can use at your church. It is very simple. It does not require you to be a developer, and you can learn all about it at ministry1.com. While you're there, if you don't have it, and again, you're not a Ministry Brands customer, you can also sign up there. That's what's showing on screen. If you click that Get Access button that's right there, you can, guess what? Get access. It's amazing we named that button really well. Okay. What about if you are an existing customer? You have online giving, which is the very common pathway to Ministry One. And so if you have online giving, but you have not turned on the Ministry One app, here's great news. Right now, it's free. So because of what's going on with the COVID crisis, you can get it for free. You want to log into your giving admin portal that's showing on screen. You want to click on the gear in the upper right-hand corner, which takes you to the settings area, and then find the tile that says Ministry One. Now, if you're following with me right now, if you're going to go do it later, everybody has a tile that says Ministry One. Some people says Ministry One Info, and if yours says Ministry One Info, then you don't have it turned on. And if you click on it, you will get a screen that tells you more about Ministry One. So you click that tile, and then it'll walk you through getting signed up and all those good things. And you'll see some screens. The colors change purple. It's kind of the theme color for Ministry One is purple, but good news, you can change it when you get in and actually start using this app for your church. Okay, so that's a little bit on how to get to Ministry One. How do you get it? How do I dip my toe in this challenge of maybe putting an app out there? We're going to get into two reasons why you might want to consider the app. So right now we just covered how do you get it, but maybe we should have started with I've got a lot going on. I've got to work on my website, and I've got to do church streaming, and I'm trying to get online giving going. Why do I need something else? Like, why do I need the app? Well, the one thing that I want to encourage you is that you might want an app to promote either your live stream or just video content. If you're not going to do live stream and you're just going to maybe record a sermon, the app becomes a great way to promote it. So let's take a look at kind of what does it look like to build an app, and we'll focus in on those two things. One is promoting and one is actually putting video content in the app. Okay, so if you have already gotten through the sign-up process, ironically, the same place you go to start building is where you went to sign up. Remember I said some people say info, some don't. So if you click that same little tile, if you will, it will take you into a screen that says projects. Why is it plural? Well, a project is simply how you're going to make your app look. You're going to make some choices. We want this and we don't want that. That's the simplest I can say it. So you could have a project where you're kind of testing things out, and you could have an actual live project, which that live project would represent your app that's out there. Okay, I'm going to pause right here because you're probably potentially already feeling a little overwhelmed, meaning like, oh, I can't do this. I can't build an app. So, and I can't remember everything that Rodney is saying. There is going to be, at the end, I'm going to point you to some resources that will help you figure all of this out. So let's jump back in. Let's talk about a couple of things. Maybe it's now for people who actually have already dipped their toe in the water and you're thinking, oh, maybe I can try this. So on the screen, you'll see that when you get logged in and you click create a new project, it'll walk you through several things to set up your app. You basically turn on or off certain elements of that app. One that I really want to focus on is the sermons area. So the menu on the left-hand side, if you say, hey, I want to see the modules, the sermons module, when you click that, that's where you get an opportunity to load up video content. A lot of churches I know aren't doing church streaming, but they are recording some things. We've talked about that 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago, Everything Runs Together. We talked about the giving video that was recorded and pushed out to the congregation. Here is a place where you can put video content and have it in your app. So why put it in the app when it's already other places? Here's my answer. Have you ever on your phone gotten a notification from Facebook Messenger or Words with Friends or whatever social media that shows up on your lock screen on your phone that says, you know, somebody just posted something to Instagram, and you go follow that? You can do the exact same thing with your video content. You can have push notifications go out that simply say, hey, we just posted a new sermon, or better yet, our live stream just started. And the cool thing is all that can be taken care of and shown inside the app. So that is called a push notification. It is showing up right now on screen, and you get to the push notifications by clicking that little icon. I'm pointing to it over there on the right on the screen that you're seeing. You simply type out a message and you either schedule it to go out or you hit send and it goes out right now. Okay, so you can put sermon content. That's one reason why to have the app. You can also tell people, use push notifications about all kinds of different things. You can do push notifications for just about anything. Live stream starting, videos going, make a plea for donations. If you need to make a very special plea, you can certainly do that through the app. Okay, we hit a lot of things really quickly. I don't want to think that we are training you necessarily on how to do this. So let's talk about where could you go to get more information. How to get more information. Once you're inside Ministry One, if you click the little help icon up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll get that screen, which is showing help and support, and you can read articles and watch videos and things of that nature. So that's a quick bit. The most important thing I want to say is that we have taken with Ministry One, which again, Ministry One is a mobile app that is available, can be customized and used by just about anybody. Well, I won't just say just about anybody. It really could be used by anybody, even if you think my church isn't tech enough to do a mobile app. So that's it. I can certainly answer questions about getting Ministry One going. I would say if you haven't taken advantage of it right now is absolutely the time, because it is free right now.
Hey, Rodney, we did have a couple of questions come in, and maybe you could give us a little bit of insight. One was a question about a logo, adding your own logo. Is that a possibility, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, you can add your logo. A lot of people ask, though, hey, I want to add my logo so that on my phone's display of apps, that I see my church's logo there. You can't add a logo that will show there. But once somebody goes in and says, oh, hey, Ministry One, then you can do it. But I'm glad you asked the question, because it reminds me of something that I forgot to mention. One of the best ways to get the word out about the app is to direct people to your website. And here's what I mean specifically. A lot of people, when they think app, they think, oh, that means I'm going to tell my congregation to go to the app store and search for something. Well, sure, you could do that. You could certainly do that. And if you did that and you were using Ministry One, you'd be telling them to go search for Church by Ministry One. But that is not what we recommend. What we recommend is on your website, you promote your app. What's showing on the right screen is what it looks like. You would just build a nice, lovely web page that has those two links. Take me to the app store. So if people in your congregation go on their phone and get to the site on your page on your website, they can click those links and they'll be directly taken to Ministry One. It's a very fancy word. It's called deep linking. So there you go.
There you go. The master explaining it a little bit.
Hey, we had another question come in about push notifications. And I think for some, that term it might not be all the way clear. It was kind of like, hey, who's going to get those? Is it like our app would somehow, hit everyone in our congregation or spam them? So could you maybe just talk through that concept a little bit?
Yeah, it's everybody in the world, actually. So literally, no, it's not. It's everybody who's downloaded the app. And just like all apps, we as users of our apps, we have control of our phones. We say whether or not we are okay with getting push notifications from a particular app. So assuming your congregation has gotten the app and they have said, yes, I'm fine to get those notifications, which of course you would want to encourage, because we won't spam you with a bunch of stuff. We just want to let you know when there's good content. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I really do. I think to your point, when you do sign up for a push notification, it's always like content that you're very interested in. And so it's a great feeling like, hey, right. Pastor Mark just posted the latest sermon from this weekend. And you're like, oh, I missed it. Yeah. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's exactly. Good too. I like what you said there too, is like as churches, when you have this power of push notification, you don't want to overdo it as well. You really want to be intentional that with the push notifications you're pushing out, that it is like we are sending you information you want and information you need. Yeah. Because I've been a part of churches where I get a lot of messages and I've turned the notifications off, thus missing important information just because they overuse certain features. So when you have that, you really want to be intentional with it.
It's a great question. I see some questions from folks basically saying, hey, we have this. Does that mean we have Ministry One? Or another question that says, if we have this, do we actually, if we go to Ministry One, do we actually need the other thing? So let me clarify some of that. If you're using any of the online giving solutions from Ministry Brands, I'll name some: Easy Tithe, Alexio Giving, Simple Church Giving, Clover Give, ShareFaith. Help me out, ShareFaith guys. Yes, ShareFaith Giving.
We'll go with yes for now. We're going to shake our head. No, we should know. We don't know. I'm pretty sure it is, though.
Yeah. All right. Good point. We'll get a clarification on that. So if you have online giving, you can get Ministry One. And right now it's free for everybody. It's free for some customers even before this COVID crisis came along because they have multiple products with Ministry Brands. So for example, if you have Fellowship One Go and Fellowship One Go Giving or Alexio Community, which is the database CHMS, and Giving from Alexio, you get the mobile app for free forever and always. So the answer to the question is, do I still need, for example, Alexio Community if I had Ministry One? Absolutely. The answer is yes. And Tim, you told me, you said, you need to explain what Ministry One is like 400 times before we start. And you're right. Here we go. Here's number, I don't know, it's probably just the fourth time, but.
No, you've been doing great. You've been doing great.
Ministry One is a complementary, it's complementary to your database, or it's complementary to your online giving system. So it does not replace anything. It's just this wonderfully full-featured, customizable app that you can deploy to your congregation. I'll wrap, and we don't have to wrap, but I know we're running out of time. Like all things that we've brought up in these webinars, if you're now more confused than when I started, send us a message, send the care team a message. We will get you cared for in relation to apps.
We sure will.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rodney. Really appreciate your wisdom and your insight. It's great.
I like that. I'm going to use that move to sign off now. I like that.
Yeah, it's the double salute.
Double salute. It's good.
All right, real quick, Tim, let's run through. And I just want to thank everyone that joined us, from Rodney, Matt Smith, online pastor, and Jonathan Deathridge as well. And give a real quick preview again of what's coming next week. Monday, we've got kids ministry is the primary topic. Tuesday, we're going to be talking about mass communication, text, email, voicemail, social media. Also want to remind you that on Tuesday, we're doing a bonus extra webinar, e-giving tips for parishes. That's a separate registration. It's in the comment section. We can post that again if you missed it. It's at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Wednesday, an important conversation about online safety and security. I'm sure some of you have been hearing about some of the challenges and risks with Zoom and ways that things you should be mindful of right now in particular. And then Thursday, a final recap before we head into Easter. And I believe it was Pastor Scott Wilson will be the one joining us. So just an exciting, full-packed week of conversations.
Yep, we're excited, and like we said, these have been daily webinars. All of them are available for replay, so it'll be available. Today's webinar will be available a little bit later, but you can also catch the ones that we've already done on our website there. And if you do have any questions, definitely send us an email. We are available and here for you. We care about you. Something that we are very passionate about here at Ministry Brands is the church and providing easy tech solutions for you where you're at, meeting you with where you're at, which is one of the things I love so much about Ministry Brands is we have solutions for every type of church, every style of church, and it doesn't matter how small or how big, we have a solution that is going to be the perfect fit for you, and it all integrates, which is just, good.
It's what's the word for it? Good.
Yeah,
how do you say anyway, hey, it's been so wonderful spending this week with you all. Look forward to next week, and thank you again for joining us.
Yep, and everyone, you have a great weekend. Good luck out there. If you guys need help, send us those emails. We got you.